Welcome to the High Vibration Reset, the podcast for women ready to step into their next level of success without burnout, overthinking, or ever feeling undervalued. I'm your host, Ciara Conlon, and I've spent the past 18 years helping ambitious women to shift their mindset, elevate their energy, and lead with more confidence. So welcome to the second episode of season 2 of the podcast. And today's guest is Self-Belief Coach Aisling Kennedy. Now, Aisling works with women to help them break free from people-pleasing, overthinking, and self-doubt. So I'm sure there's a few of you out there that are going to benefit from this conversation. Aisling shares her journey from being a quiet child to becoming a confident coach and speaker. Now, she's also an EFT practitioner, and she uses this with her clients to help them release emotions like guilt, shame, fear, or anything else that's blocking their happiness and success. I invited Aisling along because her work and her presence also embodies high vibrational leadership for me. She has some great tips for stopping people pleasing, for overcoming limiting beliefs, and lots more. So let's get into it. But please let us know in the comments what you thought of this episode. And if you're enjoying the podcast, please follow to be updated and enjoy the conversation. I'm delighted to have Aisling Kennedy with me here today. And Aisling is a certified self-belief coach. I love that, Aisling. And EFT practitioner. So I'm not going to introduce you anymore now, Aisling. I saw you originally at an image event where you came and you spoke to the women about EFT, emotional freedom technique, or tapping, as some people know it as. And it was an amazing talk. I think you probably made a big difference in a lot of people's lives that day. So, yeah, I wanted to invite you on to tell us a bit more. So delighted to have you here.
Thanks so much, Ciara. I'm so excited. And I'm really glad that you took something from that workshop, because it's one of those environments where you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if people are going to be skeptical. You don't know what people are, if they're coming for that workshop in particular, because it was a co-working day. So I didn't know who's going to be there. And I was so grateful to have met you, because I remember looking out, everyone watching, and I just remember you smiling at me at the whole time. She's enjoying this. So,
I was.
Yeah, thank you for the lovely introduction. And thank you so much for having me here, because I've listened to the first episode with Fiona last week, and I've listened to your other ones as well. So I love the concept of the high vibration. I'm always talking about life on easy mode. So I was like, manifested this. This is a lovely podcast to be part of. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. I think it was a good fit for both of us. So one of the things you spoke about that day was kind of where you came from, Aisling. So, you now teach women how to have stronger self-belief, more confidence, but that's not where you came from. Tell us a bit more about how you became a life coach and how this all transpired.
Yeah. So I was one of those kids who basically didn't talk much, like at all. I could talk, obviously I could talk, but I just chose not to. I feel like it's coming back to, I was kind of ridiculed, or like I still do have a quite high pitched voice. And that used to always be in my head, that I had this like baby voice. And I have memories of like asking for help, or asking people for something, or looking for support, or being myself, or trying to copy something that I'd see on TV. And then I'd be like, that feels funny. That feels funny. So I just muted. I just stayed really quiet. So that carried with me for my whole life. And it led me into either toxic work environments, toxic romantic relationships, toxic friendships, because it wasn't that I was attracting them. It's that we put up with them.
Right.
Because toxic will go to anyone. They'll take anyone's energy that they can. But unless you have the self-worth to put up the blocks, and like, no, I don't need this. I deserve more. But I didn't know how to do that because I was just people pleasing my whole life. I didn't know any difference, because people pleasing is a learned coping mechanism
Right.
that we do to survive, and it's something that helps us when we're children to survive in the moment. But then when we carry it into our adult life, we go, what's happening? And I lost my sense of self. So I'm one of those people who did every quiz under the sun to figure out what I wanted to do after my leaving cert. And it was leading me towards like HR, social work, that sort of stuff. So it's kind of in the right direction, helping people some way, shape, or form,
Yes.
but not knowing what it was. So it was always like, I asked everyone else, what should I do? What do you think I should do? What do you think I should do? Oh, if you were me, what would you do? But I was never listening to myself because I didn't know what my voice was. I was always trying to people please, trying to fit into what I thought it was supposed to be like. All of my friends were going to college. It was like, you have to go to college. So I went to college. And then it was, okay, after that, get a job. So I got a job. And then it wasn't then until I realized that I was at a point where I was in HR. So I landed in HR then. I'd had, I think, 7 or 8 different promotions within 7 years. And I was constantly going up and up and up. And I was like, didn't feel like I was happy or achieving. Like I was doing my job really well, but I was like, there's something really missing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until an unfortunate event, someone I knew took their own life. And that was where I started to go, whoa, what's happening here? Like, I need to look into my mental health. I need to look into putting myself first, what I need, because I thought that they had everything anyone could ever wanted. And I was like, well, what happened there? So I was like, well, what do I want? What do I want for me? So when I started looking into that and started reading a lot of books, started listening to podcasts, I started realizing that the values that I had just did not align with the company I was in.
Very good.
And that was completely out of sorts. So I went to a life coach. I manifested my redundancy, got my redundancy within 10 days of manifesting it.
Wow.
And when I remember the specific question that the life coach asked me was, what did you enjoy about HR? And I started answering, and I was like, oh, I love doing the one-to-ones. I loved empowering my team and getting them to go for promotion, blah, blah, blah. And then she was like, no. What did you enjoy about HR? And I was like, nothing. And that just started a whole new thing. And I was like, I've just been doing this for so long because I thought I had to. And I was just, following the
Yeah.
timeline. And it's the timeline that is there set by society, and that all of our friends and family ask, because it's natural to ask, when are you going to buy a house? When are you going to have kids? When are you going
Yeah.
to do that? And then I was like, hang on, do I want any of these things? What do I want? So that's where I completely shifted the whole HR. And I was like, well, it's not HR, but it's something about helping people. And I realized that I'd completely lost my voice in that company. And while I was still there, I was starting to use it, I was trying to find it,
Very good.
and it was being smothered. And I was like, well, why is this happening? And that all led to then I was starting to go into my flow, into my high vibration. And then that's how I manifested redundancy within 10 days. And then
Amazing.
I did go on this confusing, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing for 6 months. It took me 6 months to figure out what in the world I was supposed to be doing. And once I figured it out, everything started falling into place. So that's how the life coaching came about.
Amazing. So you just kind of, when you found the right thing,
Mm,
flow started to naturally occur.
yeah.
Amazing. So there's a lot of things I want to ask you about in there, a lot of interesting stuff. But can we go back to just what you said about that people pleasing?
Mm-hmm.
So sounds like the pattern there that you stepped into was kind of self-created.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I think with some people with people pleasing, it may be because of the lives that they led or the people that were in their lives that forced them into this pattern. But you kind of self-created it. Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah, it kind of comes from a few different things. My mum was a people pleaser, so I
Okay.
naturally adapted how she is, because
Okay.
we adapt and we copy what other people do.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
an older brother who love him to bits. He was at the, as a child, he was really blonde, really smiley, really outgoing, and I wasn't that. So I was like, oh, well, what do I do to get that reward? Which was, be a good girl. Be a good girl. You're so quiet and you're so pretty and you're so all these little things. So the people pleasing came from feeling safe, and what for me to feel safe was to be quiet and to do what people wanted me to do. So it can come from a mixture of things. It could be from, your parents maybe leaning on you to emotionally regulate themselves, and you feel like you have to do that. It could be that you've learned that if you are good or kind or do a certain thing for someone else, then they're happy. It's about controlling someone else's emotions, but we can't control someone else's emotions. We can only control ourselves. But as a child, you don't know this. You don't know this. You don't have the emotional intelligence to know this. And until you do the work on yourself as an adult, you're going to stay in those patterns.
Mhm. And it is also, I suppose, societal, not pressure, but generational with women. It's this, we're expected to get into that role of making sure everybody else is happy. We're nurturers. We want peace. We want everything to feel calm and in control. So I
Yeah.
suppose that pressure is on everyone. I
Yeah.
mean, in your work, do you see people pleasing as a big issue?
Yeah. Most people come to with people pleasing.
Okay.
Majority of them do. Some of them like, no, I don't really do that. But then we get into it and they're like, oh, that's what people pleasing is. Because I didn't actually know what people pleasing was until a few years ago. I'd never heard the word. And then someone described it to me and I was like, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do that. Because sometimes we think it's literally just not like saying yes to everything, being the person
Yeah.
who um, goes and collects you from the airport at 2 o'clock in the morning, even though you've got a big presentation tomorrow at 9 a.m. It's not always that. It's not speaking up for yourself because you're afraid of what the other person will say.
Mhm.
It's not putting yourself first. It's losing your voice completely and you don't know what you want anymore. So you just go along with what everyone else wants to do. And when you've lost your sense of self, like usually what happens with my clients is when they come to me, I say, "What do you want?" And they're like, "I want to stop overthinking." I'm like, "Okay, well, what do you want?" And they're like, they can't imagine
Yeah.
any other life other than overthinking, procrastinating, worrying about what everyone else is thinking. They're like, that doesn't exist. I'm like,
Mm.
it does, it does, but you've been so lost in it for so long that you think it doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. So, do you always use emotional freedom technique to help people out of that people pleasing? Or is it a combination of
Yeah, it's a combination.
strategies? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because the thing is, so EFT, so emotional freedom technique, is based on. Well, actually, will I
Actually,
introduce
there's
it?
a good thing. Yeah, let's tell people, anyone who
Yeah,
doesn't know what it is, give us a bit more info
yeah.
there, Aisling. Thank you.
So EFT tapping is emotional freedom technique, and tapping is it describes what you do. So it's the light, gentle tapping on meridian lines. So it's based on traditional Chinese medicine, and it's similar in some, like it's a psychological form of acupuncture.
Mm,
Acupuncture is, the little needles which are placed into the meridian points. However, with EFT tapping, you're not actually using any needles. You're just using your hands ever so slightly on these points. So it's based on this concept of chi. So chi is the life force energy and how we have all of our emotions and our energy in our bodies. So traditional Chinese medicine that states that all of our energy and all of our dis-ease and any discomfort is where something, a part of a meridian line, is not flowing correctly. So the acupuncture will, tap into it and allow it to release it, to allow it to flow.
yeah.
So EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique, is where you're releasing those emotions so that you're freeing them and you're allowing that block to resolve. Because a lot of people, like my coping mechanism as well with people pleasing, is avoidance. I'll avoid things.
Okay.
So with tapping, you're physically tapping on points of your body, you're verbally speaking out what the issue is, and you're changing what the issue is. So say, for example, someone's coming with shame or guilt or frustration. We talk about it. We go, okay, I'm feeling guilt. And then you talk it through. So you're not ignoring it. So actually verbalizing your voice and saying it goes, okay, this is what's happening. I can't ignore it. And it sparks up that neural pathway within you to go, okay, this is the neural pathway I have associated with this issue. We can talk through where it came from, and then we release and clear that block, and replace it with and create a new neural pathway, so that when you're thinking about, say it's a presentation, or say it's saying no for the first time to someone, it's going, okay, well, last time I'm worried about this thing that happened when I was 4 years old or 6 years old. You don't even fully, your subconscious remembers it, and it remembers the feeling.
Yeah.
Now it's associating something new and going, well, what if it went really well? What if it went brilliant? What if I was able to speak really clearly? And replacing it with something else. So when you finish your EFT tapping, like we do a few rounds of it, it can be 2 minutes long, it can be 20 minutes long, but you start to feel a sense of relief, confidence, cortisol drops, happiness increases. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have tried it in the past and I have used it, and definitely, yeah, it's one of those things as well that I suppose it's a technique that works.
Mhm.
I've seen transformation in other people. It's so a lot of the work that I do is about what you've just described. So it's the mindset piece alongside the release of the emotion.
Mhm.
And that's really where we get lasting change, isn't it? So, we can release the emotion, or we can talk about emotion and let go of fear, of guilt. And this is something that I think, Aisling, and why I wanted to get you on is for people to really understand that we can do this, that this is possible.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't understand that the emotion in our bodies is we can move through it.
Yeah.
But then what you're saying there about the neural pathway,
Mhm.
we need to interrupt that
Yeah.
neural pathway
Mhm.
and then reprogram. So within a short tapping session, we can do the whole process.
Mhm.
Yeah. And tell me, so like something like guilt.
Mhm.
Okay, so guilt is a big emotion. And again, it's generational. It's a lot of women, they spend their lives feeling guilty. So can one session clear guilt, or is it a series of sessions that are needed in order to break through all of the patterns?
It depends.
Yeah.
You're gonna hate me, but it depends on the person, because I sometimes have people come to me and they have a particular issue what they're just really struggling with. Yes, it can help support that. So in a study that was done in 2012 of people who had done a 1 hour coaching set or 1 hour tapping session,
Yeah.
24%, they felt there was a drop of cortisol by 24% compared to psychotherapy, which is 14%. And then the control group, there was no significant change at all.
Wow.
So 24% is a huge percent to drop that cortisol, which is obviously related to anxiety and regulating your nervous system and helping you feel more confident in that area. So there's definite changes and shifts. I notice it. I can see people like the sighing or just the relaxing of the shoulders, them taking the breath, and they say to me at the end, I could physically feel that emotion leave my body. So yes, people will feel a lot different during and then after the tapping. But it, like, when my clients come to me, sometimes people think it's like a quick fix, but you don't just go to the gym and then all of a sudden you have a six pack. It's like we need to continuously work on our mindset. So majority of the time it's working with clients for a few weeks to work on not just that one issue, because people pleasing is deeper rooted. It's coming from a sense of not feeling worthy. So I use, you asked me before I went off on my tangent about what EFT tapping is do I use a mixture of
Of
EFT
course. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
other tools? So I
Yes.
use a mixture because sometimes, like for example, yesterday I was with a client and we had planned on doing a full expansion tapping to really step into her higher self, to really expand what she was feeling and allow more abundance into her life. But as soon as we got in the call, I could just see she was exhausted. She was completely burnt out. And I was like, we need to fix this. We could have done tapping, but we actually did something completely different. And that's the fun of coaching. You know that yourself.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
think one thing's going to happen and then it's something completely different. So I said to her, look, next time we'll do it that, but we need to fix where this exhaustion and burnouts come from. That's what we're doing right now. And then we can step into your higher self.
Perfect, perfect. But yet, so yeah, it can be a series, and as you say, it always depends on the person, on the situations, what they're dealing with. But you can get massive transformation in one session.
Yeah. And I have a tapping library which all my clients have access to. So they're generic ones, obviously. They're not
Mm.
specific to each client because it's for everyone. But they have like a morning tapping, a sleep tapping, a rebound from a bad day, speaking up. There's lots of different tappings which are generic that all my clients, because I know they're all generally around the same thing, that they can use. I use them as well. I hear my own voice and I'm like tap tap tap. And that's there to support them when they're not in a coaching session with me. And they feel the relief from that. We have like a new year tapping, a new month tapping, and they use them at different points. And sometimes they're like, oh yeah, I forgot this one's there, because they use their own recording sometimes, and then they go back to the tapping library. So this is a tool that they can use themselves in between the coaching sessions. They have it after they've finished coaching with me. And also they can tap, like you can easily just tap yourself without a coach, without doing it before. Obviously, if you've never done it before, you need to watch a video or something. But you can do it. Once you have that knowledge, you can do it yourself at any point, anywhere.
Brilliant, brilliant. So it's just like a meditation library, just picking out whatever my intuition thinks I need right now. Yeah. And speaking of intuition, so do you think that this has helped you, so that the bringing EFT into your life, do you think that's helped you become a more intuitive person? Has it impacted that side of you?
Yeah, I noticed it during the coaching sessions. So I'll discussing what's happening with the client first, and then I create the script on the spot based on what they're saying. And a lot of the time, I'll just have this random thought come in, and then I'll say it. And I'm like, because I say to my clients, if there's a word I'm using or any language I'm using that you're like, well, I don't really feel that, change it. And then I can see it on their face. I might be like, oh, maybe it's this. And then I can see them be like, yeah, it is that. So being in touch with myself allows me to be in touch with what they're feeling too. But that I'm all into manifestation, spirituality, intuition. That's all my vibe. So yeah, it definitely helps me, because when you're in touch with who you are, it allows that intuitive side of you to come out.
And I also think, in my experience, Aisling, it is, the more work that I've done on myself, the more of my emotional blocks that I've let go of, that all of that clutter or noise that's inside of us, once that's removed, we do have a stronger connection to self, to our higher selves or our inner wisdom. So yeah, I think it's a good route to it, to finding more intuition, it seems like.
Yeah.
Now, another thing that I'm always curious about with tapping is the actual process. So you're tapping on particular meridians. If you do it wrong, does it still work?
Yeah.
Or if you forget one, if you forget to tap the top of your head, will it still work?
Yeah, it still works. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's different techniques of doing it. There's ones where people cut out different parts. There's some people start with the set of point. I usually start with the set of point on the side of the hand, and then go through the body as well. I'll be on the bus and I'll do it. I do the triple warmer, which is between your pinky and your ring finger, just slightly below, and just tapping there. No one could see me doing that on the bus. No one could see me at dinner doing that. No one saw me here 2 minutes before we started our call tapping along. It doesn't matter if you're doing it in the wrong place, if you're not following the sequence. It is best to verbalize what you're saying, because hearing your own voice saying it really helps you to stay connected to what you're doing. I use my two hands as well. I'm doing it, so I don't pick up my phone or get distracted. It means that I'm fully connected to what I'm doing. But sometimes I'll skip points. I'm like, oh, this doesn't matter, because the triple warmer, the one here and the side of the hand, they cover most of the meridian lines anyway. It doesn't really matter. It's the practice of doing it is the most important thing.
So just do it. Don't get hung up on.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Resistance. So a lot of people, have a lot of resistance to moving forward, to actually doing a lot of these things. So a lot of people, as I said, know they need to change, but they don't know how to change. or there's something there that's just stopping them. They just can't take that next step. So why do you think this resistance shows up so much in people, and what do you think it is, or how can we break through it?
Yeah, so resistance comes up in all of us. It's
Mm.
so it's annoying, but it's
Yeah.
there. When we know that resistance has come, that's when you know that you're on the edge of an up level. And that's the scariest part, because when you know you're about to change, you're like, oh no, I like where I am. I know it's safe and I survived yesterday. So I'll survive again today. Even if we're in the most toxic environments. Like I said, I was in a toxic relationship for nearly 7 years. I was in my last job for 7 years. There's something with sevens in me. I don't know.
Wow. Yeah.
And I knew, I remember doing the employee engagement survey every year, and I was like, yeah, I won't be here next year. Yeah, I won't be here next year. Yeah, I won't be here next year. But I stayed. I stayed because the option of changing or doing something else is scary, because fear is we don't know if we're going to be able to handle the outcome. And sometimes I say this to clients, I'm like, oh, you're fearing success. And they're like, how can I fear success? Well, that doesn't make any sense. I'm like, yeah, because you don't know what's going to come. You don't know if you're worthy of it. You don't know if you would be able to handle the new money coming into your life, or the new job, or the new man, or whatever. You don't know if you'd be able to handle it because it's new, it's something different. We like consistent because we can control it,
Yeah.
even if it's terrible. We know that we survived yesterday, and our ego's like, yeah, just stay here. It's nice and cozy.
The
Um,
familiar present is
Mhm.
safer than, yeah, the unfamiliar, even excitement or all the things we think we want.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's usually at that point where clients come to me, they're like, something's happened. I just need to change. And sometimes it's like I get messages from people saying, I really want my sister to work with you. Or I really want my friend. I keep telling my friend all the time about you, but they're just not doing it. I'm like, just allow them in their own time, and they'll be ready when it'll be like that trigger where it's like, why didn't I do this before? But sometimes we're like, oh, I'll wait until that trigger hits. And sometimes it doesn't hit for everyone. And it's the
Yeah.
scariness of like, I'll just wait until it's the right time, or I'll wait till summer's over. I'll wait until I have whatever money in the bank. I'll wait until something special
Yeah.
happens. And what are we waiting for?
Yeah. Fiona Brennan said the same thing last week about, people reaching out to her. Can you work with my husband,
Yeah.
father, brother, whoever? I mentioned all men there. That was maybe subconscious. Yeah. No, can you work with somebody? Because we see the pain in others and we want to fix it.
Mhm,
But it is a really important lesson to learn. We
mhm,
can't fix other
mhm.
people.
No.
And one of the lessons I think I learned, not so long ago as well, is not only can we not fix other people, but it may not be their time, or it may
Mhm,
not ever be their time,
mhm,
because each one of us is on a different journey.
mhm,
Each one of us has a path, and maybe that's the lesson we're here to learn. So the key, or the real lesson, is that we need to keep working on ourselves. You mentioned it at the very beginning, we need to gradually make the changes
mhm,
and keep doing our own healing.
mhm,
And in my experience, Aisling, when we heal ourselves, the people around us change.
mhm.
Has that been your experience?
Yeah, well, especially since I post on Instagram, I get my mom being like, I did something because I've been reading your Instagram posts. It's not a client of mine, of course. But I do notice that when you're changing, you also attract the energy that is like-minded, and all of a sudden these toxic people just leave your life. You're like, how did that happen? But you also attract the right people then as well. So
Yes.
we can't save anyone. It's not our issue to save
Mhm.
anyone. We can't, like you said.
Even you and I, being life coaches or coaches,
Yeah.
we can't save anyone. We can facilitate,
Mhm.
but everybody has to choose, as you said.
And do the work as well. Like, you
Yeah.
can't come to either of us and say, fix me. Well, first of all, you're not broken. So no,
Yeah.
no one's broken. We just want to improve ourselves. There's things that we want to help our mindset so that we're not overthinking, we're not running a million miles, we're not burning ourselves out. It's finding the tools and finding the support. And talking to someone who's been in that situation to get out of it. So yes, I'm going off on a little tangent here. I'm just so passionate about everyone coming at that right time, but it's sometimes we don't know when that time is going to be. And it's just actually been like, no, I'm just going to do it. I just have to do something for myself. And especially my clients, a lot of them are people pleasers. They're not used to putting themselves first or asking for help, because I don't know if you find this with your clients, they think that it's weak to ask for help.
Yeah, there is a lot of people who don't like to admit that something needs to change, because we put on that front, isn't it, that I'm okay. And especially, I would say, a lot of people in leadership, women in leadership, they have to appear strong. They have to appear that they have it all together. But, spoiler alert, very few people do. Unless you've gone through and done the work. But even if you have done the work, we still all have our things that we still need to learn and grow through. But in your case, so from going from somebody who didn't have much self-belief, who didn't feel confident, to now speaking in front of audiences and changing the world, Aisling. one client at a time, or a couple of clients at a time. What was that shift? So can you trace back to a moment that triggered something, or was it just that continual work that you blossomed into being a confident person?
Probably a few things, because like I say to everyone, it's like, you're not finished. You're not no one ever gets a point where I'm like, I've learned everything. I don't need to work on myself anymore. Now, obviously, if you're 100 years old, you probably it's hard. It's like, don't need to work on myself anymore. But we're not, like, life is for living, life is for growing, to experience things. As we level up and as we go through different parts in our lives, we are going to come across other challenges. So I'd say, like, when I was in my last job in HR, and I was like, I don't need to be here anymore, and what am I doing here? And then I got into manifestation, and that worked so quickly, and I was like, hang on, why am I struggling? Why am I forcing things to be so a certain way? And then once I stopped and went into that high vibration, and I was like, life's on easy mode now. Things are just quicker. And then when I did my life coaching course, we had to do an assessment where we had to ask our friends and family questions about us. And I wanted a really specific, and I was like, be mean, or not mean, but like, be like honest. And they're like, oh, but I don't want to be mean. And I was like, please be mean. That's what they were saying. I don't want to be mean.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and one of the things I asked is, like, when you think of me, what words would you use to describe me? And three. There's another word that had come out before that, but three words that kept coming up were calm, confident, and authentic. And I was like, me, calm, confident, and authentic? I was like, I'm not calm. I'm not confident. And then I was like, hang on, these people see it in me. What's it going to take for me to realize it? Like, they're all seeing it. How can I step
Amazing.
into it? And I was like, it's just a choice now. They're telling me I am, so well, I may as well be. And then I
Yeah.
noticed then, when I started networking, then I would have people coming up to me being like, oh, you're just so confident, and you're so, like, bubbly and this and that. I'm like, I'm just being my weird normal self. Whereas before, when I was a child, I would have only let that out in front of certain
Yeah.
people. Where I'd go to networking events with Image, and there'd be, I don't know, 200 people there, and I'm just like, la 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 la, living my best life, having a great time. And people are just, you attract people who are similar to you.
So this is obviously, the personification of what I'm trying to teach in the world. So thank you for describing it so perfectly, because it is exactly that. When we have a coherent or a regulated nervous system, so when we're able to manage our emotions in the right way, when we have a mindset that again is connecting with that positively, reinforcing that coherent and regulated state, and then we have the behaviors or the habits that enact them every day. And that is how we create a high vibrational state and how it impacts others.
Mhm.
And that is the key. And you have just described it beautifully, Aisling, because it is also really important that we start to see ourselves how we really are,
Mhm.
because we have years and years of conditioning and limiting beliefs and bullshit that, allow us to keep stuck in that, oh, I'm not good enough, or I can't do that, or whatever else. And this actually, yeah. So here's a question. What is the one limiting belief that you think most women have that you would love them all to release and let go of? So what one limiting belief do you see coming up again and again that's disturbing people's ability to be happy and successful?
It always, always comes back to not feeling worthy, not feeling good enough. And it's the thing is, when you look at a child, when a child is first born, they are whole and they are perfect and they're just
Yeah.
them. They're just who they are. They don't have anyone telling them to be a certain way or anything like that. And then at some point in our lives, it changes. Or all of a sudden we're comparing ourselves and we want to fit in, we want to belong, we want to act a certain way, we want to achieve, we want to make other people happy. And all of these beliefs come along. And if we go back to our younger self, and it's like, if you talk to the baby like a baby, would you ever say, oh, you're not good enough? No.
No.
What's the difference between when we're a baby and when
Mhm.
we're now? Like, it's just all these stories and beliefs that we have crafted and created. And it,
Yeah.
yeah, always comes back to not feeling worthy enough.
And it's interesting because when I started working on myself, I didn't realize I had work to do.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I was unconscious of the need. And I would never have said, if anybody had asked me, do you feel unworthy or not good enough? I would have said no.
Mhm.
So this is an interesting piece that for some people, those words
Mhm.
don't resonate.
Mhm.
So how else does that limiting belief or lack of self-belief, do you see it phrased in different ways, or how else do you think it shows up? That, because I agree with you,
Mhm.
none of us have that. Not none of us, but I think most human beings don't feel good enough in some shape or form. So how else
So
do you see it, Ashley?
I'd say when people come to me, they usually use the word worthy because they've heard me use it. But
Mm,
if you haven't been looking at anyone's content or been reading about it, it's usually come from something enough. I'm not something enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not tall enough. I'm not skinny enough. It's enough. And it's I'm not something enough. And not feeling you're able to do something. So it could look like not going for a promotion, not traveling by yourself, not moving out because of whatever it is. Because again, you're like, am I good enough for it?
mm.
Am I like able to function by myself enough? Am I able to do that by myself? Is it okay? And
So
it's
not trusting yourself as well, isn't
yeah.
it?
Mhm.
Yeah, just not trusting your capabilities, or yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're somebody sitting at home or walking, maybe you're
Mhm.
walking listening to this podcast, and you have these patterns of overthinking or doubting yourself, not trusting yourself, wanting to do something but just not able to get started. What's your advice? Where do they start? What's the first thing they should do to get that shift that they need?
Well, the first is always awareness, because if you know that you're aware of it, it's like, okay, so this is what it is. Because if you're not aware, you can't do anything. And sometimes awareness is the most frustrating because then you start
Mm,
seeing it everywhere and you're like, oh, that's happening and that's happening. And then you start seeing your friends and family doing it. And you're like, oh. So awareness is the most important thing.
yeah,
Acceptance is the next, because we have to accept something needs to change. And then
very
it's
good.
action, actually doing something. So that can look different for different people. I'm not saying that everybody needs to go to coaching therapy or whatever. It can look different at certain points in different people's lives. So it could be my favorite three questions that I always come back to is like, if there's a thought that I'm coming up against, it's always, is it true? Is it helpful? And what's my next best thought?
Very good.
So is it true? So is it true that I'm not worthy? So like
Mm.
what evidence is there? It's like, oh, is it helpful? Is it helpful for me to tell myself this? Probably not. And what's the next best thought? Okay, what if it worked out? What if I was good enough? Or what if I got help? Or what if I spoke to someone to help me relieve this? Because a lot of the time, like when I'm talking to people, they're like, you just get it. And I'm like, yeah, because I've been there. I've
Mm.
been there. I know what you're going through. And so many people think they're like, I should have it figured out. I should be able to just do this by myself. I should just da, da, da. And it's that should is a pressure from someone else. It's pressure from something, but it's
Yeah.
pressure in some shape or form. And it's then going, okay, well, actually, Ashling has normalized, Ciara's normalized that it is normal to feel this way, but there is another way of feeling, thinking, and being.
Yeah. So if you have a bad day,
Hmm.
what's your high vibrational shift? How do you get yourself out of it?
I do my rebound from a bad day tapping. It's a tapping specifically for that. I also I have a high vibe playlist that I give to all my clients.
Mm.
So it's got affirmations in there. It's got like some real like upbeat music. Yeah, it's the high vibes, but it's not normal. It's not like I love Taylor Swift. It's not like mainstream type of music. It's all about manifestation, the universe, allowing things to come to us. So I'll put that on. That's my thing. Yeah, it's going back to that and allowing myself to have a bad day because not every day is perfect. It's just
Yeah.
just okay, something happened. But going, okay, well, am I going to be annoyed by this in two 2 weeks from now? Probably not.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's life acceptance. I always say that, things won't always go right, but the quicker we forgive ourselves for
Mhm,
our mishaps
mhm.
and our mistakes, the quicker we can get back on track and get right back into that high vibration. Do you have a favorite mantra or a phrase that you use when you're tapping?
Um, a few. So I am safe is always really important because that really helps us regulate our nervous system. Because when we don't feel safe, that's when our nervous system goes into fight, flight, freeze, fawn,
Mm,
where we're like, oh, something's happening because our brain is still wired to be like cavemen, cavewomen, where a lion, tiger, or bear is going to come chase us. But it's like, hang on, it's just an email. Hang on, it's just a text message. Hang on, the doorbell just rang. It's not anything dramatic.
I
So it's
am
like,
safe.
I am safe. And the other one is I'm allowed to be me.
Beautiful. I love it. What brings you joy right now?
Brings me joy. There's so much. So holidays.
Yeah.
My brother's getting married in Portugal next month, so we're having a family reunion after that. So my aunts all live in different countries, so they're all coming together. So we're gonna have a nice time together. But yeah, I'm always traveling. That's why I work on a laptop. All my clients are online, so
Amazing.
the partner
Yeah.
works himself as well. So it's having that time just to take the laptop and go. But
Mm.
but I have Telegram, which is how I stay connected. It's actually saying Telegram. I could be in Telegram all day and be like, la la la, what's happening with you? Tell me what's happening. How can I help?
Brilliant.
Yeah, that brings me
Yeah.
so much joy.
Yeah. Fabulous. And how can people find out more about you, Aisling?
So I have a website, ashlingkennedycoaching.com, and also Instagram is where I am all the time. So it's Coach Ashling Kennedy.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And we'll put all that in the show notes. And you also have a little gift for our listeners, don't you?
I do a little gift. So it's an EFT tapping, so people can practice it themselves. It's a morning confidence tapping, so it's quick and easy to do. You can download it on your phone or your laptop, whichever. And I'm always open to people drop me a message, let me know how you get on with it, what your experience was. I'm happy to have anything. I'm always there.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. I do have loads more questions, but
All the time.
we'll do them. We'll do them after I hit stop. No. Thank you so much for giving up your time, Aisling, and sharing everything. And I really hope people engage with your content, because it can make a difference. So big hug. And thank you. And thank you all for listening in. So have a fabulous inner day. So, what I've learned from this conversation with Aisling is that it is possible to make that high vibrational shift at any stage, at any time during your day with tapping. And what I loved to find out is that you don't have to follow the exact technique to make it work. So if you want to find out more about Aisling, her website is linked below, and you'll find a link to her free tapping for morning confidence. And if you've been enjoying this podcast and you resonate with the idea of being in high vibration, I want to let you know that we are creating something very cool in the background to help you to make that shift and sustain the high vibrational state through your days and through your life. Now, to be in high vibration is not just about personal success, happiness, and flow, which of course is quite a bonus. But high vibration, being in a coherent state, a coherent, regulated state, not just has an amazingly positive impact on your own life, but it impacts everybody around you, your family, friends, and the wider world. So if this sounds like something that you would like to be involved in, check out the link below and make sure you get on the wait list, because the wait list will be the first to know when we go live. So make sure you are following this podcast to be informed when the next episode goes live. And I wish you a wonderful inner day. Thanks again for listening, and we will see you next time.